No.
Shalom, everybody. Thank you for joining our virtual Brit Midrash. And today we're going to talk about a special topic, which is a hot topic also. It's about Kabbalah, but biblical Kabbalah and Zohar. And why did I choose this topic? Because this week we celebrated Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer, which is a commandment of the Torah, that leads from Pesach to Shavuot, which is going to be soon, and this 33rd day of the Omer marks the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, a great rejoicing about this great sage who wrote or taught or received the revelation about the Zohar, which is the heart of the biblical Kabbalah, I'm precising, and his impact on the end of days. So we're going to, so don't shut up your computer, just watch till the end and make yourself a good thinking about it. You know, it's very important. We are mature people and we want to know exactly what it is about. So the Zohar, okay, we're talking about the Zohar. What is it really? One cannot speak of Kabbalah without mentioning the Zohar, which is its art. And Kabbalah means reception. Lekabel in Hebrew is to receive. It's about something that we're going to receive. Kabbalah is reception. And the Zohar is called, in Hebrew is Zohar. It means the book of the splendor or the radiance, is the central text of biblical Kabbalah. It presents itself like a mystical commentary on the Torah, and it features Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his disciples as they unveil the hidden meanings of scriptures. And traditionally, it is attributed to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who was living at the 2nd century CE. And historically, and in the universities and so, many scholars date his circulation in Spain to the 13th century, around the time of Moshe of Leon, Moses de Leon. But which is, okay, for some reason, but when we know the works of Moses de Leon, we understand that it's not him who wrote the Zohar. But in any case, the important question is therefore not merely who wrote it, but what worldview does it convey? And the Zohar teaches that the Torah is not merely a legal or a moral text. It's a living organism with a body, a soul, and the soul of a soul. And the literal meaning is the skin. The hidden meaning is the inner light. So Shimon Bar Yochai lived in the 2nd century CE, approximately 100-160, during the time of the Mishnah. He was part of the generation of the Tanaim, which were the masters of the oral tradition before it was written down. He was a disciple of the great Rabbi Akiva, who was a major figure in Judaism after the destruction of the Second Temple, and that was martyred by the Romans. And this period is marked, according to the Talmud, in Shabbat 33. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had to hide in a cave for 13 years with his son in order to escape the Romans. And it is from this tradition that the image of a master immersed in profound revelation arises. So there was a Roman rule in Judea. Persecutions followed the Bar Kokhba revolt, which was in 135. Great spiritual and intellectual intensity in the transmission of the oral Torah. So in the Kabbalistic tradition is considered to be linked to the revelation of the secrets of the Zohar. So just to summarize this little survey, Rabbi Shimon in 2nd century, era of the Tanaim, after the destruction of the temple, in a context of crisis, but also in its context of profound inner revelation. And the Jews at the time needed it because the temple had been destroyed, the country was occupied, Bar Kokhba revolt has been crushed. And it is said about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son that they would bury themselves in the sand up to their heads. They lived in the cave for 13 years, and to be buried themselves in the sand, Rabbi Ben Arosh explained that the sand is chol in Hebrew, profane. It means also profane, sand and profane. And this represents the chomer, the materiality, and that the essence of Shimon Bar Yochai, who was the revealer of the great light of the Zohar, he desired to infuse this holiness into matter, into our word. So this is why the symbol of the sand. So this prompts us to consider the teachings, or rather the preconceptions, because personally I've never heard any valid teaching regarding the Zohar in Christian world that holds, but rather I heard a lot of fables and entire unfounded assertions that have filled the mind of the believers. Not something that's very, very solid. But the most profound detail is this. When they came out of the cave, their gaze, their look were so intense that the ordinary world seemed impure to them. They saw men working the land instead of studying the divine mysteries and rebelling against the Romans. So their spiritual fire destroyed rather than illuminated at that time. So according to tradition, they had to come back to the cave and to stay there. Why? Because a light without compassion becomes dangerous. It was not the right time. The vessels were not ready to receive this illumination. So we are talking here about vessels, kli, kelim. A vessel is a receptacle that is useful only when it contains light. And a light does nothing if there is no container, no vessel. So you need the container and the light. So the Zohar is the foundational text of Kabbalah, that is the mystical inner dimension of the Torah, its soul. But to understand it, one must go beyond the idea of a simple book. So the Zohar presents itself as a commentary on the Torah, but not in the classical sense. It doesn't seek to explain the literal meaning of the verses, but it seeks to reveal their hidden depth. So whether the Torah tells story, the Zohar sees symbols. The Torah speaks of the kingdom, Kabbalah speaks of Malchut. Malchut is kingdom, the last sphira, we'll talk about this, on the tree of life. So where the text speaks of events, it sees spiritual entities, movements of the divine presence, the Shekhinah, dynamics between the visible and the invisible words. It's in fact a coded message. This is why when you try to look at the text in the Zohar, most of the time it's scripted like the book of Daniel or the book of Revelation. So the Zohar was written in Aramaic in a style that is often poetic, symbolic, and sometimes enigmatic, a lot of time. And it depicts Rabbi Shimon and his disciples traveling the roads, exchanging teachings, revealing secrets. But these stories are just clothing, because behind them lies a profound structure. And at the heart of the Zohar, we find several central ideas. Visible reality is only a surface. There is a hidden inner dimension. God sometimes is called Ein Sof, which is the infinite, and it manifests himself through emanations, characteristics that we call sephirot. Man, through his action and consciousness, can influence these levels and participate to the tikkun olam, to the fixing of the world. We have been called to fix ourselves and to fix the world. And we read in, for instance, a text that is totally associated to this concept in the Zohar, in Romans 8:19. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revelation of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of the one who subjected it, with the hope that it will too be set free from the bondage of corruption, to share in the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that until now the whole creation has been groaning and suffering the pains of childbirth. This is a text that is directly influenced by Kabbalistic concepts. I'm just talking in general here, not going into all details, but the revelation of the Son of God is talking about the revelation of the level of our soul that is divine, because there are, according to the scripture, 5 levels of souls, and the one that is divine, the neshama, is the one revealing God on earth. And this is why the creation is waiting for the revelation of who we really are in Him, the witnesses we are in Him, when our neshama, who we are really, is being unveiled, and our nefesh, our animal soul or flesh, if you want, is being shut down. So the Torah itself has several levels: external, internal, body and soul. And the Zohar emphasizes a powerful idea. The Torah is not merely a text to be read, but a light to be revealed. To study without seeking the inner meaning is to remain on the surface. To seek the deeper meaning is to enter in what the masters call the soul of the Torah. This is why certain passages in the Zohar state that through this wisdom, humanity can emerge from exile, talking about the end time. Not merely a historical exile, but an inner exile on one in which divine reality can be hidden sometimes. So the question is therefore not merely what is the Zohar, but what becomes of the person who approaches it. What happens when the soul of the Torah, which is the essence of the Creator, touches our own soul? For instance, to talk about nonsense, when a few years ago we were invited to teach in Jerusalem for a Passover, for Pesach, and there were older people coming from Christian, coming from different places in Europe, and we started to teach on Pesach, and everybody was just so excited, and they were just so excited and so close that they started to move on their chairs, sitting on the edge of the chair to hear more. Then after they took all our studies, our books and everything, and there was the pastor sitting at the very end of the room, and he was looking at all this. He had invited us. He didn't exactly know what we were going to say, but we were just talking about Torah and Pesach. And people were so happy. And we were very excited too, because we said, okay, people are going to come, we can teach them, and so on and so. But the next morning, somebody called us and they said, forget about it. This pastor came and went on all the tables and he told them, listen, you have to be careful. Those people are Kabbalists. And that was it. We didn't hear about anyone after. Kabbalist. Stupid nonsense. We never talk about Kabbalah. At the time we were not into this at all. And but he just put this word, he threw it, and up, everybody froze. Wow, Kabbalist. So the question is, Kabbalah, is it divine or evil, diabolical? Or is it our ignorance that has demonized what we do not understand, or we have not been taught? In Judaism, Kabbalah is not viewed as black magic at all. It is a mystical interpretation of God, creation, the soul of the Torah, the fixing of the word. Its vocabulary speaks, as I said, of the Ein Sof, which is the divine infinite, and the Sfirot, that is the channels through which divine light manifests itself in creation. Like, for instance, you have different names of God, different manifestation is the same. And we're talking here about the tree of life. The Sfirot are not demons, but a symbolic language, and they are often misunderstood because you don't study them. The Sfirot are in Kabbalah the 10 emanations, like the 10 words, attributes or powers through which the divine, the infinite, Ein Sof, reveals himself, creates and governs the universe. This is his way of acting. And they're not physical, of course. They are often represented in the form of a tree of life. This is simply the tree of life of which it is written that we will eat from it, when the time comes. Like in Revelation 2:7, it says, let him who has an ear hear what the Spirit says to the Kehilot. To him who overcomes, I will give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. Blessed are those who wash their robes, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter to the gates into the city. So do you want to partake of the tree of life? Please. There are not 10 gods, not 10 spirits to be worshipped. In Kabbalistic thought, they represent the ways in which the infinite makes itself perceptible. Wisdom, intelligence, kindness, rigor, beauty, victory, splendor, foundation, kingship. For instance, as we are in the counting of the Omer, we have 7 weeks corresponding to the lower 7 sfirot. Chesed, which is love, expansion and mercy. This is one of the attributes of God. Gvura, limit, justice, discipline. Tiferet is harmony between love and justice. Malchut is the divine presence in the world that receive all from the above. So the study of the tree of life, which is the central theme of the Zohar, teaches us to know Hashem and his attributes, including salvation, HaYeshua. And the prophet Daniel proclaims, the wise will shine. This is going to be our key verse. The wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever. Daniel 12:3. It does not say that they will merely understand or that they will know, but that they will shine. The light of which he speaks is not an empty metaphor. It refers to a profound reality that the sages of Israel sought to unveil. The very word that is used here, will shine, is Zohar. Yaziru kazohar, will shine like the brightness of the heaven, is Yaziru, which is the root of Zohar, ke Zohar, they will shine from the light of the Zohar. So this is an allusion to radiance, a glow, an inner light that is in the Torah, and the sages saw in it an allusion to the hidden light of the Torah revealed in the Zohar. So, Yaziru kazohar. So look, if we read again the verse in English, those who have been wise will shine, Yaziru, like the splendor, kazohar, of the heavens, and those who have taught righteousness to the multitude will shine like the stars forever and ever. This is exactly a verse that is taken in Matthew 13:43. Then the righteous will shine, and in translated into Hebrew with the Hebrew version is Yaziru, like in Daniel, like the sun in their father's kingdom. Let anyone who hears to hear listen. So the apostles, they knew the revelations of the soul of the Torah very well, because it was given, we said that the inner interpretation of the Torah was given to Moshe on Mount Sinai the same time as the written Torah. So in the Jewish tradition, we know about Kabbalah. It's not something that is just appearing. So, and the entire Brit Hadasha is referring to those themes that are mentioned in the Zohar, as we show this in the studies of the yeshiva that we do. You are encouraged to join. But to understand this light, we must go to the visions of the prophets. Isaiah sees a high throne and fiery seraphim proclaiming, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh is the Lord, the whole earth is filled with his glory. Isaiah 6:3. And faced with this revelation, he cries out, woe to me, I'm lost. For absolute light reveals to man his inner distance. When you have a light, you can measure how far you are, how close you are. And this vision reveals an essential truth. Divine light already fills the world, but man does not always perceive it. We need the help of the Book of the Splendor, the Radiance, the Zohar, to aid us in our understanding of some passages. Of course, when you receive Yeshua, we receive part of this beautiful light. But now you need to study the scriptures. In order to study the scripture, you need something else, another tool. Otherwise, we remain at the surface of the word. And because the church has cut all roots with Israel since 2000 years, many doctrines in the Christian words are just, you don't know exactly what you're talking about, except the revelation through Yeshua. So we skim the headlines, but we do not enter into the ocean of revelations. For instance, one of the gospel that is filled with allusion to the Zohar is John, Yohanan. Then comes Ezekiel, who in his vision of the celestial chariot sees not only the light, but its structure, a fire, living creatures, wheels within wheels, a reality in motion, which is complex, layered, revealing that the visible world is just but a veil that is in fact interlocking levels of depth. And the first chapter of Ezekiel, by the way, is the foundation of Kabbalistic study, along with the study of the Merkava, the chariot, the celestial chariot. So when Isaiah perceives absolute unity, Ezekiel unveils the multiplicity of channels through which this light manifests itself. And the Zohar connects those two visions by teaching that this light is hidden within reality and that through it, the last generation will emerge from exile with mercy. Not merely from a geographical exile, but from an inner exile, one in which humanity lives without perceiving the divine presence. And the Ramchal explains that God has concealed his light within creation so that man might reveal it and become a vessel capable of receiving it, for the goal is not to merely contemplate the light, but to attach oneself to it and be transformed by it. Yet this light carries a danger, for even Shimon Bar Yochai, the master of the Zohar, upon emerging from his seclusion in the cave, burned whatever he looked upon, showing that a truth not fully integrated can become destructive. So the Zohar was therefore hidden for centuries because it was not the time, and it reappears in the 13th century our era, because souls were not ready for such intensity. The vessels to receive this intense life were not ready. But today, as says the prophets, darkness covers the earth, it is now that the study of this work comes to our aid, for it reveals the depth of the Torah and of the Messiah. We read in Isaiah 60, "Behold, darkness covered the earth and gloom the people, but upon you the Lord rises, upon you his glory appears." Thus, divine light is not an escape, but it's a responsibility. It demands humility, reverence for heaven, and balance. And Daniel then reveals the culmination of this path, because the wise are not content merely to see the light, they themselves become light, like the stars that illuminate without coercing, that guide without dominating, that shine without burning. And Isaiah calls out, "Arise, shine, for your light has come." And Ezekiel proclaims, "I will give you a new heart and a new spirit." It shows that deliverance is not merely a future event, but it's an inner transformation. We need inner transformation. We need to be born again, which we are when we receive the Lord, but after we need a constant transformation. Thus, the light of the Zohar is neither magical or automatic. It's a revelation that is offered to us, to the one who are ready to leave the exile of superficiality to enter a life of truth, depth. And the question is no longer whether the light is where the light is, but in fact it's what man is ready. If man is ready to become what the prophets foretold, a being capable of reflecting the divine presence in the world, and therefore fulfilling the words that will shine like the Zohar of the firmament. So the masculine, the wise masculine is the one who are functioning with the sechel, the brain. So you may have been told that Kabbalah is inherently obscure, forbidden, diabolical, but often you were not told what it actually says. You were taught to fear the words Zohar, Sfirot, Ein Sof, mystery, hidden light, esotericism. But fear has never been discernment. Discernment requires studying before condemning and judging. Condemning what we do not know is not faith. It is spiritual laziness disguised as piety. The Jews of Berer examine everything. Where are they today? Who is really willing to open a book and to see if it's so evil when it talks about Messiah and the light? The light is hidden from those who do not wish to see it. A famous theme in the Zohar is that of the hidden light, or ganuz. At creation, an immense spiritual light appears, that of Messiah, of course, but it is veiled, for the world cannot yet fully receive it. It is said that this light was hidden because of the wicked, and that it will be revealed at the end for the righteous. So in the Torah it says, Vayehi or, and there was light, in Genesis 1:3. And the sages noted something strange. This light appears before the sun and the stars were created on the fourth day. And the plants and the grass and so was living with this light. So the Talmud in Chagiga teaches that God created a special light that then he hid it for the righteous in the future. This is what we call or ganuz. Or ganuz is the hidden light. So it's not a physical light, but that has disappeared. It's a light in which it is hidden because the word cannot yet contain it. It's a light of truth, of total understanding, where everything is clear without confusion. Good and evil are perfectly discerned. The divine presence is evident. Reality is being unified. And the Zohar teaches that this light has not disappeared. It is veiled within reality. It flows through the Sfirot, to the attributes of God. It is concealed in the Torah, and it is present in the human soul. And Rabbi Isaac Luria explained that the word is structured by a contraction, tzimtzum, that hides the divine light. Because if God had to be appearing before us, we would be consumed by his light. And our task is to reveal this light. So in this sense, the Zohar can be understood as an ark, not an ark to flee the word, but an ark to traverse the dark word without getting lost in it. The idea is that the Zohar is a kind of a sort of an ark of salvation of the end time. We are going to have references, and we know what's going on in the politics and everything when we study the Zohar. In the Zohar it says, through this book, Israel will emerge from exile with mercy. This sentence is central because it doesn't speak of a magical object, but again of a process of inner transformation. And it is often rephrased in Hebrew saying, through your merit, through this book, they will emerge from exile with mercy. The image of the ark comes from an implicit parallel with Noah. In certain teaching, the Zohar is like a non-material ark made of knowledge and consciousness. The flood appears like being confusion, spiritual confusion, moral crisis, loss of meaning. It's just a flood. And the ark is what protects and guides us through this chaos. And as in Noah's time, the flood is not merely material. Today we call it confusion, superficiality, and a loss of meaning. And the ark is not like an object, but a state of consciousness, a way of seeing more deeply. It's an ability to perceive the light behind the veil, what's going on in the world, what's going in our lives. And this idea finds a striking echo in the Gospel of John. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. The text does not say that the light appears suddenly. It says that it is already shining, but it's not recognized. Just like the Or HaGanuz, the hidden light. It's present, but yet hidden. And a light that does not impose itself, that does not force itself. It waits to be perceived, to the one who wants. Thus, the three dimensions converge. We have the Torah reveals that the primal light has been hidden. The Zohar teaches that it can be rediscovered through inner transformation. And John here affirmed that it is always here, even in the darkness. The question then is not where to find the light, but why we do not see it. So, in the light of the Zohar, this is deliverance, or could it be a dangerous fire? Lag BaOmer that we celebrated this week is the revealed light. The day of Lag BaOmer is called Hilulah, which is a day of joy and revelation. And we lit a lot of fires. Why fires? Because the Zohar is called Or. Or is like fire. But we have to be careful because sometimes it illuminates. It is warm, but it can destroy also. It all depends on the kli, the vessel we have. A wisdom that requires limits. We do not use the Zohar to show how spiritual we are, but it is an aspiration of our soul that needs secrets revealed in the word to keep us afloat. We need more with this, what's happening in the world today. So biblical Kabbalah is for uplifting the world. And to return to the arc of our generation, as in Noah's time, there is a flood, but not of water. It's the lack of da'at. It's the lack of knowledge of God. It's the lack of emet, truth. So what is the ark in that case? It's a living Torah, it's an inner life, and it's awakened consciousness. And we can draw parallels with texts from the New Testament. Daniel's message says, the wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens. Those words, they find a direct echo in Yeshua's words in the Gospel of Matthew. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. We find the same fundamental idea. The purpose of humanity is not merely to know the light, but to become its reflection. We need to shine. So similarly, the theme of hidden and revealed light, which is central to the Zohar, appears again in the Gospel of John. The light shines in darkness, we just read it, and the darkness has not overcome it, or I am the light of the world. Those are statements that emphasize that there is a light present in the world, but not yet unveiled completely, as it says in Isaiah, darkness covered the earth. But upon you, if your vessel is ready, the Lord will shine. So this idea of inner transformation, which is expressed by Ezekiel as we read earlier, I will give you a new heart, finds also a parallel in the letters of Paul, in the second epistle of the Corinthians. All of us with unveiled faces, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. And here again, the wisdom is not enough. It must become transformation. As in Kabbalah, where men become a vessel of light. And Ezekiel's mystical vision, with its interlocking levels and veiled divine glory, also resonates in Revelation, when it says, Revelation 21, the city has no need for the sun of the moon, for the glory of God illuminates it. Glory associated with light. And it extends again the idea of a divine light that becomes visible at the end of time. So finally, the moral imperative that accompanies the light, found in the warning associated with Shimon Bar Yochai, is clearly expressed in Matthew 5:16. Let your light shine. And one more time, we have this word that is also used in Daniel. I will come to this. Before others, that they may see your good deeds. Showing that true light does not remain abstract, but it manifests itself in action. In Daniel, the Hebrew text read, "Ve'amaskilim yaziru kazohar harakia," the wise will shine like the radiance. And the Masoretic text indeed provides this formulation with the word zohar. Okay, we are sure about this. I want to really press on this, is zohar. And in this verse, every word carry or seem to carry a hidden light. Yaziru, they will shine as a numerical value of 228, which is the same as blessed, Baruch. This suggests that true light is not a proud illumination, but a blessing that passes through a person. Kazoar has a numerical value of 232, which corresponds to Yehi Or, let there be light. In other words, Daniel is not merely speaking about future light, he echoes the first light of creation, that the tradition called, one more time, Oraganus, the hidden light. And the word firmament, Harakia, has the numerical value of 385, like Shekhinah, the divine presence. Thus, like the radiance of the firmament can be read spiritually, those who attain inner wisdom become vessels in which the divine presence can be reflected. And there is something even more profound. The entire part of the verse, V'maskilim yaziru kazoar rakia, is equal to 1296, or 36 multiplied by 36, and the number 36 evokes the hidden light, the 36 hours of primordial light, Oraganus, and that was shining, and the 36 hidden righteous ones in each generation. I'm not going on to this, but it's very symbolic. So Daniel describes a light squared, a light revealed through beings capable of bearing it. He does not simply say that the wise will have light, he says that they will become light. And the Gematria comes again to confirm this secret. Yaziru equal Baruch, and as we say, so the prophecy takes on an immense depth. At the end of time, those who have left their inner exile will not shine of their own accord, but with the light of the Shekhinah, from the Neshama. There will not be men who possess the truth, but beings who have become vessels of the light hidden since creation. So let's take a look at a few passages here of full of sparks. Zohar in Shemot, verse 3 says, the splendor of the fruit of the tree of life, which are the souls that have emerged from it, gives life to all. It is eternal. Then he goes on to the Sitracha, the other side. What is the other side? It's an Aramaic word that means the other side, Sitracha, that is the evil side. You know, for instance, when Yeshua goes to deliver the Gerasim, he crosses over the other side of the lake, meaning that he goes into the darkness to bring the light. So thus the Zohar continues, the other side, the Sitracha of impurity, does not reside there, has nothing with it in the splendor, the souls that remain in purity, which means that the other side is not nourished by the tree of life. And the tree of life is called Zeir Anpin, an Aramaic word that means also the sun, is called the sun, the tree of life. This is what Yeshua refers to in Gethsemane when the time was coming to hand him over. He says, I will no longer speak much with you, for the prince of this world, the other side, is coming. He has nothing in me, no hold on the light. He is the tree of life that gives us this eternal life. To the one who overcomes, I will give to it of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. And those who are rooted in him partake of the tree of life in purity, and they are the splendor of the tree, jewel that shine with his light. In the Gospel of John, it is written that at the wedding of Cana, the water was turned into wine. On a surface level, it's like a miracle, but in a deeper reading, it speaks of transformation, just as the prophets of Israel speak of the transformation of man. Water, in the biblical tradition, often represents something fundamental, simple, sometimes even hidden, but it's just water. But the prophet Isaiah says, all you are thirsty, come to the waters, because water is linked to the Torah, to life, to the foundation, but it remains transparent, almost invisible. Wine, on the other hand, is something else. It reveals what is hidden. The sages say, when wine enters, the secrets comes out. So wine symbolizes the inner dimension, the depth, that which was contained but not revealed. Thus, turning water into wine, into a spiritual reading, is not simply changing one substance to another. It's revealing what was hidden within what is simple. It is moving to the surface, from the surface to the interior. This is precisely the movement of the Zohar, taking the Torah as water, accessible, external, and revealing with it in the vine the secret, which is the sod. This is why we'll drink wine, the new wine. And the numerical value of the words wine and secret is the same, it's 70. And 70 is also the number of the original nations in Genesis 10. So the first miracle of Yeshua is to announce that the secret and the mysteries of the return of the lost tribe have begun, and invites us to drink the finest wine, which is the wine of the revelation. And this resonates deeply with the prophet Daniel. Again, the wise will shine like the Zohar of the firmament. For whoever undergoes this transformation does not remain at the level of the water. He becomes a being capable of revealing the hidden depth of reality. We can go even further. In this story, the water is contained in jars intended for purification. This evokes an external structure, like a religious form, but the transformation shows that the goal is not the form, but what it contains. And the prophet Ezekiel expresses this differently. I will give you a new heart and a new spirit. So this is not merely an external improvement, it's an inner transformation. In the same vein, Apostle Paul writes that man is transformed from glory to glory in 2 Corinthians 3:18. This language is very close to that of Kabbalah, a gradual and ascent and even deeper revelation of the light. Thus, the miracle of Cana can be read as an image. The visible reality, which is the water, already contains a hidden potential, the wine. But this potential must be revealed. And this revelation is not automatic. It depends on a transition, a change of state, a transformation. So, the question is not, did a miracle take place? But it is, are we capable of seeing the wine hidden in the water? Are we capable of moving from the surface to the secret? Are we already ready to be transformed or not? If we read another text, a supreme from Beshalach, supreme, holy, and precious food is the food of spirits and souls, and it is the food of a high and distant place, which is divine intelligence, which also becomes divine wisdom. What is this food? Yeshua partook of this heavenly food. He said to them in John 4, you see, John is really Kabbalistic. I have food to eat that you do not know about. And Yeshua said to them, my food is to do the will, telima, of the one who sent me and to complete his work. This is the word used in the Septuagint for the verse in Psalm 40. I desire to do your will, telima, oh my God, and your Torah is within my heart. So the Torah is about the will of God, and the inner Torah is about the Zohar. And in Hebrew, the word will is ratzon, which shares the same root as tzinor, that means channel. By doing Hashem's will and by observing his Torah, we become a channel through which his light pours out upon this world. So, by studying his Torah, we are assured of the words to come, as Yeshua also says in John 6:27, work not for the food that perishes, but for that which endures to eternal life, and which the Son of Man will give you, for it is whom the Father has sealed. So to say that Kabbalah is the soul of the Torah is not merely a poetic expression. It's a central concept in Jewish tradition. The sages explain that the Torah has several levels: the body, the soul of the soul. The 4 levels of Torah interpretation, they are often grouped around the acronym of Pardes, which is traditional exegetical methods for understanding Jewish scriptures. I'm not going into it in this, but it's a literal, allusion, homiletic, and secret. They represent a progression from superficial understanding to profound mysticism. These 4 approaches are complementary and form a coherent structure for understanding the richness of the biblical text. The level of Pshat corresponds to the body, the Remez the literal meaning, the allusion is to intermediary levels, and the sod is the secrets, is the soul of the soul. So he who sees only the narrative sees the garment. He who penetrates more deeply encounters the soul. So one more time, we quote this verse from Daniel: the wise will shine like the brightness of heaven. Those who remain on the other level may accumulate knowledge, but those who enter the inner realm becomes bearer of light themselves. For Kabbalah is not limited to explaining the word, it transforms those who study it. So Daniel does not simply say that the sages will have light, he said that they will become light. And the gematria comes like a whisper to confirm the secret. Yaz'iru is Baruch. Again, blessed, will be blessed. And I want to end with this passage, wonder of wonders. Where do we find the word Yaz'iru, Kazohar, in the New Testament? The same in Greek. Acts 26:13 says, I saw, O king, on the road at midday, a light from heaven, brighter than the splendor of the sun, which shone around me and those who were traveling with me. This is the same word that is used in Daniel, but they will shine like Zohar, and in the Act 26. And this connection between Daniel, the Septuagint, and Paul's account is very profound, because it reveals a secret continuity between the Jewish apocalyptic tradition and the mystical experience on the road of Damascus. What kind of light did he see? The central word is Zohar again, okay, in Daniel. It does not simply refer to a physical light, but it evokes a living spiritual light, a radiance that comes from the divine word. It's not the brilliance of earthly fire, not even that of the stars. It's a light of revelation. So when the translator of the Septuagint sought a Greek word capable of conveying this idea in Daniel, they used the term lamprotes, like lamp. This Greek word does not merely mean light. It denotes a dazzling splendor, a glorious radiance, a luminous manifestation that transcends the natural order. And in biblical Greek thought, lamprotes is often linked to divine glory, to a light that manifests a heavenly presence. We have in Psalm 27, it says, one thing I ask of the Lord, that is what I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord in all the days of my life, to gaze upon the splendor. This word, this time is the word Noam, of the Lord, and to visit his temple. Here, David is not simply asking to see God, but to contemplate his radiant beauty, his luminous gentleness. And mystical tradition sees this as a contemplation of the Shekhinah itself. So the profound spiritual meaning of the root of this word, lamprotes, goes beyond mere physical light. It refers to divine glory, heavenly manifestation, revelation, transfiguration, and so many other passages that I didn't have time to quote here. This is why it's used in Daniel and Acts is so significant. This suggests that Paul experiences a manifestation of God's hidden glory, an eruption of the Zohar into the physical world. And the Zohar illuminates the soul and reveals the divine presence. This is why the light of Damascus blinds Paul's physical eyes, but opens his inner eyes. And the Septuagint interprets Daniel's Zohar as a theophanic light, the visible manifestation of an invisible reality. And this is precisely here that the connection with Acts 26 becomes profoundly moving. When Paul recounts his encounter with Messiah, he describes a light from heaven brighter, lamproteron, the same word again, than the sun. And the Greek text uses again the same root here. And this is not trivial linguistic coincidence. Luke, in writing Acts, deliberately used the vocabulary of heavenly revelation present in the Greek of Daniel. So in other words, Paul does not simply see a miraculous light, he experienced the light of the Zohar, which is also the Messiah. And the light of Damascus does become the living fulfillment of Daniel's prophecy. The Zohar of the firmament foretold for the sages suddenly appears on the road, no longer as an abstract idea, but of a presence. And the light surpasses the midday sun because it belongs to the Oreganus, the hidden light of creation, which Jewish mysticism would later associate with the divine revelation reserved for the righteousness. So there is so many things to say, but to perceive the outer radiance of the Zohar, it's not only to perceive it, but it's when we penetrate its hidden content, we benefit from this light. So the road to Damascus, I want to end here, can be read as an experience of the living radiance. Paul does not see a heavenly glory. He enters for a floating moment into that very light of which Daniel spoke, the Zohar of the firmament, the radiance of the divine presence that transforms the sages into beings of light. And only Paul sees this light, but he is the only one because he has his vessel ready. So Kabbalah is not a fad, not an esoteric spectacle, nor magic to control the world, not evil. It is a demanding tradition that speaks of purification, light, responsibility, and atonement. So, is it divine or evil? Perhaps the answer depends on the heart that approaches it. In a proud soul, even light becomes a destructive fire. In a humble soul, every mystery becomes like a prayer. So the real question is, what have you been taught about Kabbalah? It is were you taught to seek the truth, or only to repeat an inherited superstitious fear? That is the question. So do like the Jews of Beret, study, open it, find our Messiah in it, and you will be really enlightened. Shalom, thank you for listening. If you want to see more, we have a class special on biblical Kabbalah that is ready on our website. Come and study with us. Shabbat Shalom.